look at it. So I'm going to go ahead and click that here so that you'll see it when we log into the advising view. And so again, I get the green checkbox that I've successfully requested a review. And from this point, I think I'm going to go ahead and pivot over to the advisor view because everything else will be pretty similar for the advisor and the student. And I'm going to jump back to my slide for a minute to give you the URL. So if you'd like to follow along and be able to click along, if you go to colleague.valpo.edu.
I actually just put the full direct link in the chat.
Oh, great. Thanks, Jen. And I'll show you what that will. You should get to a page that looks like this. Or did you do the direct link to test F, John, or just to the administrative links?
To test F.
Okay.
The direct link.
Okay, so if you, just for future reference, if you put in colleague.valpo.edu, it will take you to this administrative links page. And from here, you can select a lot of the systems that we use across campus, as well as our test system. So for today, we're going to be using test F, and the F just means fall. It's cloned from fall production data. So if you want to go back in and try this out later and you can't remember the URL, this page is the launch page to start from, and test F is what we're using to test. So now I'm going to, you can log in using your own credentials here. I'm logging in as Clark Light or C Light, who is an advisor and a faculty member. And we'll go first into the advising tab. And you'll notice that UR Light, most of my advisees are in alphabetical order, but because UR has requested a review, they've popped to the top of my list, and I also have this icon letting me know that they've requested a review. So that's, you'll get an email, but then they'll also be at the top of your list when you go in to review. You'll also notice that their pronouns appear now beneath their name. The other students haven't provided theirs yet, so that's the only one that has that. And then we'll go into one other note from here. You can email all advisees from this screen. Again, it will work right now if you do it, so I would recommend not. But that is a functionality that's there. And this is where you could also search for a student who is not your assigned advisee, but for whom you're maybe a second major or a minor advisor. So we'll go into UR's profile. There we go. And I can't acknowledge the required agreement for the student, but I get the same warning so that I'm aware that they still need to do that. So if you have a student who reaches out and says, I can't register, you'll see that and we'll be able to quickly tell them you need to go and complete your agreement, and then you should be able to register from there. So this is the primary advisor view. Again, it looks similar to the student view, but with a few more additional tabs. So we have the student's name, pronouns. You could email them directly from here. This will normally be the student's email. We've changed it to our MIS office email so that we can test things, but it would have the student's email. This happens to be a Christ College student, so they have Anna Stewart as their Christ College advisor, as well as Clark Light, who's their primary academic advisor. This view, their primary current semester view, is what defaults. In the advisor view, it defaults as a list, but you could, if you wanted to, you could instead toggle and have the calendar view, which was what we saw in the student view. And that displays both the individual courses that the student is registered for or has planned, as well as their a weekly schedule. So this weekly schedule tool is really nice. The students, when we went through Focus, really appreciated that. It's much easier than the pencil paper grid that would, get erased a whole bunch of times when you tried to find the open section kind of things. And it shows that they're registered for each of these courses. If I wanted to, either as an advisor, if I wanted to as an advisor recommend an additional course for the student for this term, or as the student add an additional course, one way I could do that is to just go into the search for sections. So I'm going to look for a GS 390 class. And so now it's populated. I didn't add any restrictions. I just put GS 390. So it's presenting every GS 390 that's listed in the catalog, as well as all that are being offered. So now I need to filter it to find more specifically what I'm looking for. You'll notice like this GS 390 topics in English language culture isn't being offered, isn't in an available section term right now being offered. So there's no view available sections option. I could still add the course to my plan for future, but there's not going to be a section right now that I can select. Whereas the GS 390 general topics, there are available sections. So I can click this and look, and I haven't filtered by a term. So right now it's showing me both 2020 fall, as well as 2021 spring and 2021 fall. The past terms don't really matter to me. I really just want to see what's available now. So I can apply a term filter and choose just 2021 fall. And now click view available sections, and it's only showing me sections that are available for this fall. So I'll go ahead and I'll selfishly add this student to my own course for fall 2. I think it's not allowing it because I have an agreement that needs to be checked on. Yeah. John, can you on the back end take a look at that? Because the agreements both showed accepted. I'll move on to something else and we'll come back to that.
Yeah, it may be that we're also beyond drop add. So.
Oh, that could be. Okay, I'll just add it to the plan for the moment. Not seem to be adding. That should be how you would add a course to a plan. I'm going to go ahead and add I was using the current term because I could choose sections. We don't have in the test environment, all of the spring sections are not built yet. That work's being done right now in the registrar's office. But we'll go ahead and add a term to the plan. So that's the first step in either getting ready to register or in just doing the general planning for long-term future. So I click the plus button here next to the term. This is the behavior I would have expected in the advisor login. So I'm not sure why it wasn't working there, but it should work from either. So I'm going to go ahead and add this section to the plan, I get the green checkbox and acknowledgement that it's been successfully added. And now if I go back to my plan and schedule, you can see now I have 1 planned credit and 14 enrolled credits, just one other place that you can look and see kind of where the student's status is. And now it has placed that course on my plan. It's in yellow because I haven't registered for it yet. It's just planned, but it dropped it right there so that I can see it in my weekly schedule. And it's also listed here as planned. If I were eligible to register, I would be able to, this register button would turn blue and I could click to register for this individual course from right here. If I were registering for for a whole group of courses, there's also a register now button up here that would register for the entire basket. And I often use the online shopping cart analogy here. A planned course is kind of equivalent to having a course in your shopping cart. So if a student has a course planned, it's in the cart, but they are not registered for the class until they click register now or register. And when they're registering for spring, where right now this says registered because we're within the current term, it would say registered but not started or planned like this one does. And if I had chosen a section that conflicted or for which I wasn't eligible because I didn't have prerequisites met, or was maybe not, I was a sophomore and I needed to have junior standing to take the course, I would get red warnings that would, first yellow when I planned, it would let me know that, hey, you're not really ready for this course, but it would let me plan it because I might be ready in the term when I'm planning it. If I try to register for it, I will get a red warning that says, nope, you can't do that yet. If this section were not one that worked for me, let's say it was just a schedule conflict, from right here, I could choose view other sections. And it populates other options of that same course, other sections on the weekly calendar for me and lists them down here. This one happens to have a wait list. So it has kind of a double, I wouldn't be able to get into it, but it does show me that as an option. And I could still plan for it if I wanted to. So that will be helpful. If students try to go to register and a section that they had planned is already full, they don't have to start from scratch. They can just click view available sections. Another tip that one of the advisors who worked with Focus shared yesterday is if you have the situation where a student is, it's like a required lab course or two courses that are required to be taken together, and they have their lecture section, and let's say their lab section is full, their preferred lab section, they don't have to drop it. It won't let them, they have to keep them together, but they can plan their alternate lab section, so add it to their plan, and then drop the one that they already have. And when they drop it, it will prompt them and say, do you want to fully drop this or do you just want to choose a different one? And if it's in their plan, it will allow them to proceed with that. I know that was a little convoluted. We'll have that documented and written up to show you, but we didn't want students to lose their place in their lecture section by having to drop it and re-add the whole package. So that's the kind of a workaround to do that, that as long as they've planned the alternate, then they can just do a swap. Students can also, as they're working with their plan, can just click the X to remove it. If they've decided, nah, I don't want to take that one at all, they can also do that in the left-hand column where they have their list of courses planned. So I'm going to go ahead and try to add a term. Yeah, it's letting me in the student view. So I'm going to add 2023. It's a weird select group of.
It may already be out there.
Pardon me?
It may already be out there.
Oh yeah, okay. I'll add 2022 summer just to show adding a term. And now my arrows will let me go back and look at previous terms. Oh, I do have 2022 spring out there. 2021 fall and all the way back. I could also see that in the timeline view. And again, this would be both from the advisor view or the student view. And this just is a more succinct presentation of the same information. Non-term courses is anything that was not taken as a Valparaiso University course, but was perhaps transfer credit or a placement exam or AP credit, anything like that would show as a non-term course because it wasn't taken in one of our terms. And then when the student has courses planned here, you can just drag and drop across different sections. So if you need to change the plan, they still need that course, but just in a different term. So I could take, if I decided next spring isn't going to be good for GO 104, I could move it to the following spring. Or I could remove it altogether if I wanted to. So that drag and drop functionality, once students have built out their plan, should be really handy. Rather than having to kind of start all over, you can just move it around. And then petitions and waivers in the student view and in the advisor view will show you what petitions and waivers the student has received. So the student has had requested waivers for both Bio 270 and Chem 305. They got consent for the Chem 305 petition, and then they've also gotten a prerequisite waiver for their Physics 314 course. Conversely, on the faculty view, the faculty member for Physics 314 would show this student listed under their requisite waivers, and they would show all of the students who have such a waiver. I'm going to show the catalog search functionality, and I'll do that again from the student view. This will be the most similar to what we're used to with search for sections, but works a little bit better and I think quite a bit easier. So this should be kind of familiar. You can start with selecting a term or selecting a particular subject, just like we've typically done in search for sections. But and you can choose any of the other filters that you'd like. What's kind of new here is you can choose by course type, and the course types are generally the gen ed categories. So if I need to choose a quantitative analysis course, I could just choose quantitative analysis. I'm going to go up and limit. I just want to see 2021 fall and search. And so now it's presenting everything that meets the quantitative analysis requirement and is being offered in 2021 fall. If I wanted to see everything that meets the requirement, I could just remove the term filter and it would show me every option for the quantitative analysis requirement. Some of the other filters that may come in handy, you can filter just by open sections or open and waitlisted. You can also filter within, especially the gen ed requirements, you can filter by the particular subject. Locations are will generally only be helpful for study abroad. You can choose which days of the week, the time range. If you have a student athlete, for example, or a musician who needs to be done with classes by a certain time, you could put, ends by 3 p.m. there, and it just updates in real time. And search by instructor, academic level, course level. And it does show me, since I'm logged in as this student, that I'm already taking this course and it's in progress. So that is kind of a nice little extra feature. The last thing on here that I wanted to point out is the instruction type. A system limitation is right now that is a binary option. Of course, is either online or it is not online. So for this purpose, online means it is 100% online. The student can successfully complete the course without ever stepping foot on campus, that they can do it all fully online. There's a feature request in to add more options to that, but for now, that's just a binary choice. I'll pause there. Are we doing okay on questions and any?
Yeah, chat's been very quiet.
Okay, we'll just carry on. Oops, lost my mouse. Another way that's, again, a tip that we picked up from someone who worked with advising over the summer, when either you as an advisor or the student is working on planning future terms. Oh, that's not where I wanted to go. My progress is equivalent to the eval or degree audit. So we'll show the student, what they've completed and what they still have remaining toward their degree. And you can, so this should look fairly similar. I think it's a little bit easier to see it. It's color coded and symbol coded. So for any of our red-green colorblind friends, you can look at both the symbol and the color. So in progress courses show with a dashed circle with the check mark. If it were completed, it would be a closed circle with the check mark. Registered or planned show in yellow. Again, it's stoplight colors basically. Red is hasn't begun, yellow is it's in progress, and green is complete. We're almost complete. So right here is a pretty good example with the CC 110. And these are all for fall, but the CC 110B is a fall 2 course. So that's why it's shown presenting as registered, but not yet in progress because it will start in October. But if I wanted to suggest that the student, or if I as the student wanted to go ahead and plan for the future, I could just click on the course here that I still need to take. And that will open up the search for sections right to Core 115. I can view the available sections. And I'm going to put one in 2020 spring, even though that's in the past, but I could go ahead and add that section to my schedule. Or I could just add the course to my plan, since I actually want to take this in spring 2022 and those sections aren't available. So I'll just add it to my plan and choose spring 2022. And I get the success message. And from there, I could just use the back to my progress and continue adding courses off of my my progress page until I could potentially plan my entire degree that way. If a student is considering a change of major, they can click this view new program, or you as their advisor can, and then select the alternate program. So this student right now is a communication major, and maybe they're considering English. You can view the program. It won't remove their progress for their communication program, but it will add a second program, and then you can use the arrows to look between the two, and they could see what that would look like if they were to change to an English major. Load sample course plan is a future thing. So I think one of the other things in the provost email that went out today was starting to think about and plan for course offering cycles. This is where the degree maps and the 4-year plans and those course offering cycles will really come into play. This will give us that information will give us the ability to create sample course plans. So if this student wanted to change to BA English, or we're starting out as an English major, the sample course plan would pre-populate those future term plans, and then they could just go in from there, select sections, and register and have it all, or drag and drop across terms as they wanted to. But that would pre-populate that degree map essentially for them, for their program. So that's why we'll be asking for degree maps and those course offering cycles, because that's the other thing. If a student selects a course and says, I really want to take this one in spring, if we have the information that that course is typically offered every fall, we can have that also pop up as part of the content in the course description, that it's typically offered in fall only, or typically offered in even numbered springs, something like that. So that will help students to plan more effectively. and kind of, have a workable plan, especially for major requirements. We certainly understand that, topics courses and some of the more specialty courses, especially at the higher levels, are, partly dependent on staffing and student interest and all that, and that we can't offer everything every semester. Now I'll sign in back in as C-Lite, and hopefully this will work better this time, and show you the faculty view.